Oh my god, it's video games. We are back again to talk about video games. And real quick, before I get into this, sorry about all the extra clutter on the shelves back here. I'm in the process of replacing my little baskets over here, my milk crates, as my Saturn and PlayStation collections have pretty much outgrown this. So I got some shelves, and when I built them, I realized they weren't quite the build quality I was looking for. So I kind of had to cobble the set back together to shoot this video to get it out on time. Also, it looks like it might storm any second now outside, so you might hear some intermittent thunder or something, maybe during this video. Anyways, without further ado, we got a handful of video games to talk about. In August, Otakon happened, and I love going every year, especially because they have a ton of Japanese video game vendors on top of just a bunch of really cool anime stuff. So naturally, went in there. Got a handful of goodies right here, and I actually decided to kind of go in with a little bit of a list of things to look for this year, and I was pleasantly surprised that within about 15-20 minutes I had gotten the majority of the stuff on my list. Anyways, let's kind of get into it, as the first thing on my list was none other than Super Adventure Island 2 for the Super Nintendo. Now this is the Super Famicom version right here. If you are not familiar with Super Adventure Island 2, it's actually a really nice departure from the typical Adventure Island kind of platforming and fruit eating kind of spiel, and this is actually more like a really nice take on the Zelda 2 formula, as you have this overworld, and you kind of, as you travel from these to and from these different islands, you run into random encounters that are very short and they're 2D. It's interesting, and then on each of these islands is a big level that's actually non-linear, as you're really tasked to kind of explore the different levels and, find new weapons and new tools and new such within each of them. And as you go through the game, you unlock more stuff from different islands that allow you to go back to older islands to explore even further and unlock even more stuff. It's a really, really good action-adventure game, one of the best and most underrated on the system. So if you've never played Super Adventure Island 2, I highly recommend checking it out. As I walked into the convention, the very first game store I came across had a copy of this sitting right outside of it on a shelf, and I was like, well, perfect. I'll go ahead and take that. This is exactly what I was looking for. It only cost me about $19. And really the only downside here is that I'm missing out on the story and such, which is actually a lot of fun in the US version. It's pretty well written. It's got some good kind of fun and, fun but crappy dialogue. I don't know. It pokes fun at itself. But Super Adventure Island 2, if you are, maybe if you're not a fan, or if you've not been a fan of the other Adventure Island games, but you're also a fan of Zelda 2, definitely give this a shot, as it really is a nice iteration on that kind of formula. This is kind of hard to come by, the US version, I mean. It's a little bit more expensive, so if you really want to grab it for cheap, definitely recommend picking up the Japanese version. It's about $20-25 online. I was glad to get this for $19. Next up, moving over to the N64, we have a game I'm actually quite nostalgic for, and it is none other than Bomberman 64, which, you might be confused for the 64th entry in the series, as they put these things out like sports games, but no, it's just the first game on the N64, and one that's kind of unique, as aside from, I think, Saturn Bomberman Fight, this was the first game in the series to be fully 3D, which I think really makes it a fun twist on the formula. I think it makes it a lot more fun. But, so it's definitely my favorite in the series, personally. But yeah, I mean, I love the 3D, like, head-on-head battles in this game. They're a lot of fun. You don't have to get the, like, kick upgrade or the pick-up bomb upgrade. You just start with those, so battles are just out and out a ton of fun to begin with. But I actually have a little story that goes along with this game, and I was really glad to pick it up because I'm very nostalgic for it, as I played this for the very first time many years ago at a New Year's Eve party, of all places. So New Year's Eve parties would typically take place in my neighborhood over at my buddy Suri's house, and I remember this particular New Year's Eve, we were going over there playing some N64, probably played some Smash, some Mario Kart, maybe some Pokemon Coliseum, but around this time, his older sister had gone off to college, And while she was there, she was kind of starting to recollect for the N64. And this was one of the games she came back with that winter break. And I just remember us popping this in and playing this, knowing nothing about the series, and just have everybody at the party, all the kids at the party, just having our minds blown by just how fun this game was. Because it really, I mean, all the Bomber games are just perfect party games, and going in with like no expectations, just being like, oh my god, this is really fun. It's a really good entry in the Bomberman series. I highly recommend checking this out. I had a lot of fun with it that night. I remember like we were moving on to a different game, and I was kind of like, well, wait a minute, I kind of don't want to stop playing this. This is really fun. But yeah, I've got the Japanese version here. I kind of figured I would be able to find it for pretty cheap at the convention, and sure enough, got it for all of $9. So I'm glad to add this to my collection, as this is a game that I will load up, at least 2-3 times a year in an emulator just to play the multiplayer, because it's so much fun. It's a perfect game to throw on with a little kickback with your friends and such. So yeah, Bomberman 64. If you've, for some reason, never played this game, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Moving over to the PlayStation, we've got a game here that I actually own the sequel to already. And this is coming to us from Square, when they had all that extra Final Fantasy money to do all of these really cool, weird video game experiments like Air Guys and Einhander. But today we've got Bushido Blade, which is just an awesome little game. It's basically a one-on-one, like, samurai combat simulator. And it's a one-hit fighting game, basically. It takes itself, like, very realistically. It treats the swords in the game like real swords, so you can one-hit kill an enemy in about 5 seconds in a battle. But the great thing about this is that the battles are very arcadey. It's very quick and fast-paced, so it's like as soon as the fight is over, you get a quick replay, you can skip and immediately be into the next match. And it's just a perfect pick-up-and-play, like, no-skill fighting game. But it's so awesome because not only can you just like one-hit kill somebody, but if, say, that person blocks or gets lucky and moves out of the way just enough, instead of killing them, you can like incapacitate them and take out one of their arms. And if they have a two-handed weapon, well, then they can only kind of like sort of stab at you. You could take out somebody's feet or legs, and they'll just have to roll around on the stage and try to swipe at your feet and take you out. And it's always really funny when that happens and the person who's rolling around manages to kill the other player. Bushido Blade is a really fun game. I think I slightly prefer the second game. It has more characters and more levels, but there is a certain simplicity and even like maybe like a slight tweak in the gameplay of the first game that might make it the better of the two. I don't know. I have not played them both back to back recently, so I couldn't say for sure, but I do remember years ago getting Bushido Blade 2 and playing a ton of that, then going back to play a bit of Bushido Blade 1 and being like, I don't know, this feels a little tighter, a little more focused. But Bushido Blade, I've had the sequel, and the sequel is more or less more of the same. I don't know, I wasn't in really any hurry to pick this game up, but saw it there at the convention for $35, which is a little bit more than it's worth. You can get it for about $25-$30 online. But anyways, I was glad to pick it up and finally add Bushido Blade to my collection. It's really a shame that we've never really gotten a good sequel to this game in Bushido Blade 2, or even just like a spiritual successor. Like there was, I think, Kabuki Clash or something like that on the Xbox, and that game just wasn't the same. It was by, I think, like the same director, maybe some of the same team members, but it wasn't the same thing. We've had indie games try like Die by the Blade, and they just somehow managed to not get this right. I'd really love to see somebody truly get the Bushido Blade formula down and in a new game, because I would absolutely love to pick that up and play. Anyways, that's Bushido Blade. We've got 2 more games over here, and this is one I kind of just stumbled upon, a neat little oddity that I just had to pick up. So I was actually flipping through like the manuals and such at this one booth, because I have a couple games here on my shelf that are missing manuals that I'd like to get and complete, and I came across a PlayStation demo disc, and this is, I think, the PlayStation Underground magazine Get in the Zone version 1.3 demo disc. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I love these little demo discs. They're really cool, neat little oddities to have and mess around with, as sometimes the demos and the games on there are slightly different than the actual final release versions of the games you'll find. But what really drew this one to me is not only does it have Spyro on there, it's got Crash Bash on there, and Spider-Man, but it has a little demo for Grind Session, which was really nostalgic as it takes this back all the way to the beginning of this channel, as the very first video on this channel was none other than a review for Grind Session. So I picked this up, and when I went home that night, went to throw this on my shelf, I realized I didn't actually have a copy of Grind Session, which is crazy. I could have sworn at some point in college, or maybe slightly after, some point over the years since I reviewed it, I could have sworn I picked a copy up off eBay, but maybe I lost it when I moved, because I moved a couple times in college. I don't know, maybe I just never did pick it up. So my next day at Otakon, I went in with a single mission, and it was to find a copy of Grind Session, and we've got one here. It did not take me very long to find, and thankfully this game has retained its very cheap price of about $10 to $15 since I reviewed it 8 years ago. I cannot believe it's been that long. If you're not familiar with Grind Session and you've never seen my video on this game, it is essentially Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1.5. It came out before Pro Skater 2, and it makes some additions and some improvements on the Pro Skater 1 formula before Pro Skater 2 did. Like, you have the manuals in this game. Although they are a fixed duration, they are not infinite, so you can't really, keep your lines going like you could in Pro Skater 2. But if you like any of the Pro Skater games, this is absolutely for you. It plays just like it. The levels are pretty good, just like the Pro Skater games. They're pretty well built. The campaign is slightly different, but it's still goal-based. It's a ton of fun. If you've not checked out my video of this, hey, go check out that old video of mine, warts and all. It's still half decent. This game is still cool. So yeah, it's kind of funny. It was kind of nice to take this full circle and end up grabbing a copy of Grind Session. That's going to do it for this episode of Video Game Pickups. I've got a ton of new games to talk about next month and the following month, so be sure to stick around, and I will see you all in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, consider checking out these other videos right here, or even subscribing. Also, if you'd like to throw me a couple of bucks, you can support the show on Patreon.